Hemos titulado esta primera conferencia La lucidez, esa idea también de René Char de la herida más próxima del sol, con Patrick Chapatte, nuestro caricaturista, centrado en esa sátira política y una observación crítica de los conflictos humanos. Patrick muestra una sensibilidad ética del sufrimiento humano y tiene una mirada
Patrick
despojada
shows
de
and
ilusiones,
has
una
a gaze
conciencia
devoid
de
of
los límites
illusions with a
humanos unidos y
clear
compromiso
idea
con
of
la dignidad
human
y
limits,
la verdad.
with
Nuestro querido
a
Edwy,
commitment with
periodista,
truth.
fundador de
Our dear
Mediapart, ha
Edwy,
construido
journalist,
un
founder of
universo
Mediapart,
creativo
has built
centrado en la
a creative
defensa
universe focused
inquebrantable de la
on
verdad,
the
la libertad
unwavering
de
defense
prensa,
of
la
truth,
vigilancia
freedom
crítica
of
del poder,
press,
un gran
critical
defensor de
vigilance
la
over
ética
power,
periodística
great
de Camus.
defendant
Informar como escribir es sin
of
duda una
Camus,
forma de
informing and
resistencia.
writing
Con ello
is a
os
way
dejo.
of resisting. So we let you with them.
Hola a todos. Muchas gracias a Sandra.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for your invitation. I will speak in French, if you don't mind. We're going to try to help our dear interpreters. You should know where you are in your place and find your place in the world. I'm going to start by talking about this sentence who may have been mentioned by someone here, this Trobades by Camus. Glissant, he is a great intellectual from my native country, Martinique, and Frantz Fanon. These authors talking to the whole world about resistance against colonial oppression. If I act on your behalf and think together with the other, this is a place of journalism, which was the first job by Camus when he was actually a journalist in Algeria. And in order to clarify or answer to this topic, Sandra, lucidity, I will depart from the beginning of the rebel world of Camus. This concept, what is a rebel man? He is someone who says no, or a woman. And we have 1,000 reasons these days to say no in front of catastrophes that are ongoing these days, that we are all witnessing. Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, and the whole of every single factor menacing the right equilibrium between the well-being in our planet and all of our well-being. And Camus says this man saying no, he says, is a man who finds his yes behind that no against injustice, no against domination. There's a yes. And things have lasted far too long. And yes, we've gone far too beyond the frontiers. And this no, this yes expresses this no, is the affirmation that there is no more living together if there are limits that ensure sharing, respect. And this way we don't want to break this appropriation, this holding, this avidity towards the absolutism of power and richness, this expression of adding limits since the beginning of the rebel world echoes this sentence that has become something symbolic by the posthumous novel, The First Man, where he asks his father by this helping us understand about this millenary, this long-lasting fight by the masculine gender against the feminine. So this impeding man this is the concept. This is the first lucidity, this gender conflict, right? Knowing what we have in front of our eyes, what is helping us, well, leaving us paralyzed somehow. It's leaving us shocked. And I just made up this word. I've actually coined a term, the world by Putin, Netanyahu, etc., and so many other dictators is a world without limits, without borders. There is only a law, the stronger norm, or there's only one legislation, my power, and this is valid for territories, for the domination, the economic domination, the war. It's even imposed on this male versus female domination. So when we talk about this lucidity, we understand that our adversary, our enemy, in the sense of the adversary, has a myriad of faces. We can reach some commitments as Trump saying the understanding with Mohammed bin Salman or Putin and Trump, defining horrible consequences on the Ukraine or the Gazan people, just to mention a couple. Being aware of all this is seeing how our revolt is intelligent and responsible. Journalism should help us see clear. Journalism is endangered these days. The dictatorship. And what's true is what I believe. What is fair is whatever I think. The mission, the social mission, the responsibility of the democratic mission of journalism is not the expression of an opinion. It's just to add information around which we can celebrate a debate of opinions. It allows us to see clearer. This situation that we see in front of us, accelerating with the will to dominate, to predate people and territories, we need to understand that this is our world. What's happening in Gaza didn't begin on the 7th of October. The imperialism, this new form of Russian imperialism invading Ukraine in 2022 didn't start back then. This violence incarnated by Donald Trump, this ideological etiquette has been fed by other forms of American violence, by the direction of other Democrat presidents. In 2001, for example, the answer against the Twin Towers attack, and the answer, the consequences, the destruction of a region and a state, the destruction of a culture, of a people after the 9/11. This change, this war, economic and political powers that are so avid, So looking for becoming even richer, millionaires willing to become even richer, they are even more powerful than the state. And they get away. They want us to send people to Mars, not even us to escape from the catastrophe they created themselves. People who don't respect common legislation on fiscality, on tax policies, who are above the rest of us, or so they think. We have mainstreamed this sentence of the Italian anti-fascist Antonio Gramsci. The crisis is when a young man doesn't want to be condemned, and a new world promising alternatives is not arriving or managing to be imposed. In this timing, Antonio Gramsci, in the prison, talked about this varied, morbid phenomenon. I prefer the poetical translation, a condemned world, or a world that has not bloomed yet. So this area of shadows is where monsters arrive. These monsters have been created by our lack of implication, our irresponsibility, our ignorance. And at the same time, we can state that these monstrosities these days is a message of hope, the first lucidity, the first light of hope. And this world that is condemned will find its limits, of course. This world that wants to take it all from the actual core of our planet, our Mother Earth, that wants to invade territories, not only Israel, but even Canada or Greenland, not only Ukraine, but after tomorrow, Moldavia or the rest of us. That world is a condemned one. It's damned. We are witnessing it with these two ongoing wars, in the one in Europe and the Palestinian territories, but also in Sudan. This monster, and it's a good term, it's something that expresses something bizarre, something that doesn't fit into norms, right? It's like a ghost that lies at the center of that sentence. And it's the sentence by Camus in his speech when he accepted the Nobel Prize in 1957. This is a prophetical sentence that really talks rather about our present than the past. It's about our responsibility. We have been too incomplete. We have not been fully conscious. We haven't finished our responsibilities, our tasks. We have put our world in danger with 2 world wars, and we have seen that our wish for power, our predatory willingness, these new geopolitical realities called the Western world, this projection that has made us rich after Christopher Columbus' discovery, let's say, of America, this has come back to us, and it has created mountains of corpses. The Nazi experience was this horrendous experience of domination. All these this abuse, all this excessive will, this thinking of superiority, thinking that our civilization, our religion, our culture are being superior to others. This pretension of others being barbarians and us being the civilized ones has made us the barbarians. The Nazi barbarian barbarous experience is the destruction of the other, is a crime against humanity. It's a crime against all of us. The genocide, the destruction of a people. It's not only a crime of war, it's a crime. Genocide is a juridical term, right, that speaks about these forms of catastrophe.
Qui se traduit par les Nations
This
Unies.
is the UN. We have our dear colleague Miguel Angel Moratinos, the Human Rights Declaration. We see it at the International High Court of Justice. This idea means that we cannot blindfoldedly trust nations and countries that pretend to be civilized, being the source of the most horrendous, unconscious barbarity or pretending to dominate. And I say that we have been unconscious. We have proclaimed this in 1945 to 1948 with the Human Rights Declaration. In 1945, we afterwards liberated world from Nazism, but then in Algeria we were killing several thousands of youngsters, people who were defending equality, justice, freedom. We've done things upside down, these double standards. We are talking about Ukraine, but we are looking aside when it comes to Gaza. This is a double standard. The great values, great principles for us, but not for them. And at the same time, right now, we are sweeping down the carpet our crimes. We're ignoring our dear friends, the Palestinian people. This historical legitimation of the Israeli state created by the winners of Nazism began with the Nakba, and after 1967, it has just worsened for our dear Palestinian people. And this colonial concept working right at our present. The apartheid in Southern Africa, all these multimillionaires telling us they come from South Africa. They have this nostalgia of separating, of blocking, of living under apartheid. And we need to search right the very core of lucidity, of the comprehension of what's happening. This is, I repeat, the consequence of our previous unconscious, this hierarchy, this non-respect of human rights and respecting human rights for everybody. And the consequences of colonialism right now show us this barbary, this ghost of disappearance, and the legislative debate and the mandate by the International Court of Justice and the mandate of the International Penal Court on genocide and the actions by NGOs stating, all of them stating that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. But leaving aside the legislation term, the colonialism hides the wish to efface, to delete, to make the other disappear because he or she is a barbarian. To cite Camus and reading The Stranger, that has usually been criticized because the Arab going to kill Morceau, he has no name. The European ones have a name, but he doesn't. And certain people have understood it as a colonial novel, but it's the other way around. I believe he is sharing a non-colonial message. In this fable, of course, if we think of Algeria, you know, on the ones who were condemned to death because of, you know, this fable, this unthinkable fable, showing us this hero becoming a stranger for himself, towards his family, towards his community. He departs of the idea that the other doesn't have a name, the other has disappeared, the other has been made disappear. We are thinking of Mahmoud Darwish poem, Think of the Others. When you battle in a war, think of the others. When you want to feed peace, think of the others too. Let me finish by answering. I was talking about very important and serious matters. But please let me use humor now. Let's play.
Il y a eu une vidéo qui a circulé
There's a
récemment où on
video
voit
that
des enfants de
recently
Gaza
was
sur
online
des
where we can see
qui font
surviving
du rap,
Gaza
qui font de la
children
musique, qui jouent,
playing music,
qui font de l'humour,
playing,
qui ont de la joie.
using humor, being
Et en même
happy.
temps, ce sont les
And
mêmes qui
at the
disent
same
on ne joue plus.
time, they
La
are
guerre,
the same ones saying we're going to
l'extermination, on ne joue
stop
plus, on ne
playing.
peut plus jouer à ce jeu.
We
Mais il y a un
can't
jour quand même.
play.
Et là,
You know, the
Camus
ones
est un
will
bon guide. Camus
continue
disait qu'il ne faut pas
playing
confondre
at
la tragédie, le
killing
tragique
people
et le
and
désespoir.
bombing
Trop de
them.
gens
But
confondent le tragique et le désespoir.
too many people confuse the
Il
tragedy
citait un
and
romancier
lack of
britannique,
hope.
D.H. Lawrence, qui
And
disait
Diet
le
Florence,
tragique
a novelist,
devrait être comme un
said
grand
that
coup de pied
tragedy
donné au
should
malheur.
be
En d'autres
like
termes,
a
la
big kicking
conscience de la
done to the
tragédie
bad
ne doit
guys. The
pas nous rendre
conscience of
tétanisés,
tragedy
paralysés,
should
comme des
not
lapins
let
pris
us
dans les phares.
tetanized or
Elle doit au contraire
frozen or
nous amener à nous
helpless
libérer,
against
à ne pas
tyranny.
être
It should
empoisonnés
help
par
us
le malheur, à ne
free. We
pas
should
s'y
not be
complaire.
poisoned by
Camus disait,
evil.
j'appelle
And
malheureux
Camus said,
tous ceux
I
qui n'ont à choisir
call
qu'entre deux
unhappy
choses,
that
devenir
one
des bêtes
who
féroces,
has chosen to
émitisent,
become the
ou de féroces dompteurs de
ferocious
bêtes.
beast,
Auprès d'eux, je ne voudrais pas dresser ma tête.
or the opposite. I
Oui,
would
échapper
not
à
like to be
l'esprit de
right
lourdeur.
in the middle. We
Donc
have
assumer la
escaped.
tragédie, la
We
regarder
need to
en face,
assume tragedy. We
vivre
need to
avec
look
nos
right
tragédies, nos
straight
faiblesses, nos
into
blessures,
its
sans en
eyes.
oublier.
Our
Et c'est un
wounds,
message
our
d'espoir.
weaknesses, we
Au
should
début
embrace them. And this is a message of
de
hope.
l'homme révolté, il y a une
At the
citation
beginning
de
of
Guérin,
the
le poète prussien.
revolution, the
Ce poète prussien nous
Prussian
a légué
Novelin,
ce
the
qui doit être
poet,
notre mantra aujourd'hui.
said that our
C'est en
mantra
faisant face,
today should
en
be to
résistant,
face
en ne nous
and
laissant pas prendre par le
resist
tragique,
and
que nous
forget
construirons
about
l'espoir.
tragedy. This is
Là
how
où
we
croit
will
le
build up
péril,
hope.
croit aussi l'espérance.
We should have
L'inquiétude
faith
est l'antichambre
in
de
hope.
l'espérance. Merci.
Thank you very much.
Moi, je pourrais encore écouter Edwy Plenel une demi-heure. Mais je vais
Thank
faire
you
une
very
petite
much
pause, peut-être.
for your words. I could be hearing his words for half an hour.
Pero
I had intended to speak in Spanish, but to honor the talent and the expectations put on this event, I don't think it would be a good idea.
Non, je vais parler français aussi, c'est notre langue, c'est la langue de Camus. Donc bonjour, je suis dessinateur de presse, vous m'entendez bien? Je suis dessinateur de presse, c'est le plus vieux métier du monde.
I'm an editorial cartoonist, the oldest profession in the world.
Si on peut le voir.
And well, I've been told that this was the oldest in the world, but it was very hard at that time. There was no internet, no iPad, nothing at all. So life was complicated, it was hard at those times, prehistoric times. I said, I'm fed up with painting, with losing my life. And look at what he's trying to do. We are not dreamers. Our profession is to give sense, or our task is to make sense of everything. And we've seen several historic moments, like the choosing of the Pope. I had drawn it with a computer, and this is the result.
C'est un garçon, en général. Ça a marché.
It's a boy. It worked out. So I could reuse this drawing. It is true that for Camus, the world, we need to press up, we need to speed up, because the world is crumbling, is shaking on the other side of the Atlantic. Look at this, what is happening there. We have Mr. Trump brutally trying to destroy everything. So there are 1,361 days left. That's what he's saying. So this is an indelible trace it left. In any case, for Europe, this has been an awakening moment. Well, let's hope this is an awakening for all of us, an awakening towards responsibility, awareness about what awaits us, awakening to lucidity. So when everything is challenged, Trump, will be meeting his best friend.
Oui, quelle sorte de gel. Il faut dire que
you see the type of people we are facing. This dynasty of North Korea. Look at his haircut, his hairstyle. So he's the third one in a row, quite similar to his father that died some time ago. It was a very dangerous moment, as you can see.
Et ça, vous l'avez très bien décrit, Edwy, le drame de cette guerre à l'est de l'Europe qui poursuit son chemin.
This has been, we clearly describe the drama of war, and I just want to use a single image to describe the barbarity, the savagery of war. Putin, is scary. We find him. Do you remember? Now that you've seen Kim, the North Korean leader, you understand why he had such a long table. So, we were quieter and calmer. Canada is resisting. Resistance is, rebellion is organizing.
Plus vite, il faut faire barrage à Trump, ça marche mieux en français. Faire barrage. La seule raison
We need
pour
to
laquelle je vous montre ce dessin où j'ai fait ce
build
dessin,
up
c'est parce
an
que je
obstacle,
beaucoup,
a barrier.
fasciné.
This is a play on words in French, but I
C'est pas
felt like,
évident
well,
de trouver la
like
bonne manière de
showing
réagir à tout ça.
for once in my
Ils se
life
sentent
these
impuissants. Je sais
animals,
pas. Faut-il boycotter les produits
these
américains? Est-ce que vous faites
beavers.
ça? Est-ce que vous vous privez des
We
céréales
feel
Kellogg's,
powerful, ready to
du
react,
chocolat? On sait
to
que Trump
fight, to
adore le
give the
Coca-Cola.
fight.
On dit qu'il en boit une douzaine
So
par jour de Coca-Cola.
instead of Coca-Cola,
On sait aussi qu'il rêve de mettre un
they
énorme
say that
glaçon
Trump drinks about
sur
12 Cokes
Coca-Cola.
per day and dreams of putting an immense iceberg or piece of ice, as you can see, an ice cube
Fait que nous,
in
les
his
dessinateurs, on est en train
drink.
d'avoir du bon temps.
So we, drawers,
C'est pas drôle. Franchement, ça fait peur. Quand on ne peut
we
plus
are
distinguer
enjoying it.
une plaisanterie
No,
sordide d'un
when
décret
when
officiel
there
du
is nothing else
président
we
des
can do,
États-Unis d'Amérique,
this is our way of contributing. So, of course, this is really worrying, and we are afraid. And it's a way of giving an example. Or, well, there was a 20-minute art program, and I had made that drawing, that cartoon, and 7 days after that, Gaza said, I mean, I don't know whether you watched that video when Trump and when he spoke about Gaza, like a new Riviera, and he prepared a video. So everybody was astonished. It was a satire. It was a nightmare. So when nobody can make a difference and everybody sits down, I mean, those leaders sit down in power, they lead to dystopy, to the worst nightmares.
The machos, the populists, the autocrats, they build up regimes built on fear, and they fear humor. This is why often when we have autocrats, as cartoonists and journalists, we target them because have a look at this flower, see? They are very innocent but subversive. When Hani Abbas, the Palestinian, posted it in his Facebook, in the Syrian revolution, he didn't know, shall I publish it or not? And his wife said, yes, come on, like my wife, because the flower is the symbol of revolution, and the Bashar al-Assad regime couldn't stand it, so he had to leave. He's actually obtained asylum in Geneva, so he's safe there. And in 2006, after Bashar al-Assad's father's death, now we see that Shani Abbas, in order to help him, we created Freedom Cartoonists, a foundation that we created. Since 2012, we award the International Award Prize. Here you can see Ani Abbas receiving his award by our Honorable President Kofi Annan. It's the Kofi Annan Courage in Cartoon. He was the General Secretary at the UN, obviously, you know him. Maybe you know Morgan Freeman's. This is an anecdote, joke. He met someone actually asking him for to sign him, someone in the street confused Kofi Annan with Morgan Freeman. This is the joke, right? Now, in face of propaganda and misinformation, we celebrate the lucidity of journalists and cartoonists, the freedom of press and freedom of opinion, and the satire. You see our ceremony in 2022. In the middle, we see the awarded colleagues from left to right. Maybe you can see them, our heroes, Dmitry Muratov, fighting against Putin, and Maria Reza, fighting absolutism in the Philippines. The first person, Nyavor Papai from Hungary, said that what we are trying to suffer in Hungary, you will witness if populists, Orban and Marine Le Pen and Trump's model. Gabor Papai said that right at the heart of the European Union in Hungary, we are still surviving, being the only media press. We were treated as cockroaches by members of the government in public television. So imagine our level of resistance. Today in the US, under the Trump administration, you can see this cartoon here. We see what he's doing to the media, right? What the media is doing to themselves. In 2019, the New York Times, after a cartoon, I was the designer back then, and this is the cartoon I meant on the Middle East, Trump and Netanyahu. It comes from the Portuguese big tempest. It was considered anti-Semite. There was demonstration, Netanyahu's children and Trump's kids retweeted. And finally, they decided to cancel every single cartoon in this media. So the precaution principle is important. Traditional media is affected and influenced by social media, but it's a non-equal game when we put things into perspective, when we verify sources. We have on the other side emotions and rumors and fake news, always helped by algorithms. We are all intimidated by... I don't know whether we are mature enough with regards to these digital actions. This digital world that we live in, have a look here. Shakespeare says,
signifying nothing. Ça sonne très juste aujourd'hui.
Unfortunately, we cannot read the quote. We cannot see all the image. It's this Shakespearean quote, life is a blah, 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 the blah, 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 signifying nothing. And the Twitter guy says, it's too long, the quote. In 17 years of career, have a look here. It is showing us, in this case, the big guys, the big IT guys, Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. Not only they are multimillionaires, but he also owns the Washington Post. This is why he didn't allow this cartoon to be published. So the press had not doubted to publish this one, whether Bezos wants it or not. But today we know that the US is not a functional state anymore. So the designer defended her principle and accused the media And she has received the Pulitzer Award for her solidarity. And some cartoonists have done their own version when Zuckerberg said that I also wanted to add my contribution to support her. And this is it. You can see it now on screen. And this matter, the Eternay matter, has made a lot of noise, but we cannot see what's happening underlying the local media in the US. Plenty of media do not dare to publish critical cartoons against the Trump administration at present. This is where fear and censorship lies, because self-censorship is doing the bad jobs. So this censorship in social media, this censorship of I have not even talked about the most extreme form of censorship, the killing by many that were victims of hatred, like the Charlie Hebdo friends some years ago. Remember? This extremism, the press cartoon lies at the heart of all these forms of oppression. It's a very lonely target. We are at the bullseye of violence, and it's counterintuitive to say it, but the cartoon is also a tool to live together with humor. It allows us to laugh and love others, to create society. Humor helps lack of hope, and it allows us to stand the absurdity of our human condition. Freedom of opinion, freedom of expression is a very nice idea, but it has been really maltreated and tried to be effaced. Yesterday, we wanted to respect freedom of speech, and we had to defend the liberty of humor and cartoonists. This hypersensitivity by others, this censorship, this. Now we must defend freedom of speech against those willing to steal it from us, because far right wants to take it from us, to attack us, to minimize us. So, as Elon Musk said, it stinks, this media, right? He always keeps adding these parallel sentences. He purchased Twitter, and I drew this when he did it. As you can see, this cartoon doesn't work anymore, this image, this symbol of Twitter. But look, have a look. There's a little X here, you see? So our generation at present need to work hard to keep our planet fit, alive. The notion of reality seems to be destroyed under our regard. People cannot even believe what they see. Fake news invade everything. And once reality is destroyed, we can dominate and control humans, of course. So now more than ever, we need to defend professional and independent journalism. We must be courageous, and this applies to journalists, but also the owners of the main media. Also for the public, because value is a collective will. We all must defend the political satire, because we all need this political satire, more than ever. 20 years ago, I was talking. Sorry, we cannot see the faces in this cartoon. The interpreter says. Thank you very much.
Alors, de quoi on parle maintenant?
What should we talk about now? I would like to say, if you allow me, to what extent this work by Chappatte is so elegant and meaningful in the way he draws, following the clear line tradition in his cartoons, because there's something that is at stake in these times, that is style. To me, lucidity is a way of showing a way of elitist ethics, because drawing, cartooning, well, look at the expressions of the extreme right in the US. They want to, well, yeah, this shit area. I don't know what was the exact term used by him. I don't know whether he added that term, but at least that's the translation we got. Absolutely. I mean, it is a very precise translation. So they want to saturate, to fill the area with excrement. So the paradox is that we should be keeping, I mean, that defense of freedom of expression. This is the, well, what is at stake, the freedom to say even the worst, the abject, the everything that has no sense. Hamlet's passage, Shakespeare's quotation. It's a great pleasure to be with you. Okay, let's open up the floor to our audience. So I admired this statement you made and how you showed everything regarding lucidity. This is our topic, our subject. So you gave a response to the question we've asked here. So in the face of lucidity, should we maybe, I mean, please don't take me wrong, should we be out of reality, detach ourselves, disconnect ourselves from reality, and rather start playing outside in the square instead of staying indoors? And maybe this forces us to well, give up. But you, on the other hand, I mean, conversely, you made a call towards action. You are encouraging us to act. There is a distance between reality and lucidity. Nowadays, there are no certainties about what's real. So you are convinced about this need to act, this imperious need to act, to be active. Yeah, we need to feel overwhelmed and not turn a blind eye, not to be blind to the realities in front of us. We cannot give that gift of indifference to the powerful, to those leaders, to say, well, that's none of my business, that doesn't affect me directly. Indifference is the dead weight of history. So what I meant with my words and what I said about your work, aesthetics, ethics and aesthetics, what culture, artists, creators, what are they saying? Well, they are kicking, yeah, you know, facing, resisting. That is why the video I was commenting on was a different one about the Gaza Riviera, that hideous and horrible clip they've prepared for Gaza to become a riviera. So that was a green light to keep destroying and to keep on with the annihilation of Gaza. I meant those children that keep on playing as a proof that they are still alive, that they are surviving this catastrophe. Medusa, if you look at itself in the eyes, if you cross gazes with Medusa, you'll get paralyzed. That's the myth. So we need to combat that by by escaping from that aggressiveness, and we cannot afford to get paralyzed. Yeah, exactly. So the world is crumbling away, as Le Carré said, in a prophetic way. So our world is incomplete and equal, and after the Gaza catastrophe, the international law, we have plenty of rules, and we need to proclaim the legitimacy of states or nations, what is fair, what is good for everyone. And obviously, this statement, this sentence, tries to prevent and preempt slavery, what is good for me, for my body. And I mean, they don't care, they neglect completely fundamental rights, the rights of children, what is fair for me. The philosopher Alarate quotes it at speaking about the origins of totalitarianism. It's a banal, a trivial sentence, but well, we become indifferent as a habit, I mean, as a usual behavior. And yeah, but I retain that obsession, that idea of indifference, of neglect, or maybe exhaustion would be the right idea, or being completely covered by ice cream, by shit. So we've seen the picture in that ceremony of 2022. Maria Ressa was one of the important voices at that time. She's a journalist, and yeah, there was in trying to fight plutocracy. So 100 years of jail were at stake for her. She was risking a lot, but this toxic dialogue that is pervasive in social media, they were speaking about this collusion between autocracy and autocrats, and how they are controlling algorithms in the internet, so this is like a contribution to neglect, to indifference. We are drowning there. So culture and art are a way to remobilize, to raise the awareness of people. And Mediapart is a media outlet that works, and financially even better than others because they are very good. And yes, that lady is confirming, is nodding among the audience. Is it indifference? Is it neglect? Or is it going beyond that? Is it even more serious? Well, we see what's happening in the Philippines. That's a proof, as an example, about the autocrats. It's appearing before international court because they had the problems with their, fiscal tax managers. So this is a good image, a good example of what's going on all over the world. So she had no problem. He had no problem in, attending and appearing, but regardless of where we are in the West, in Europe, we could face problems and trouble. In response to your questions, I said at the beginning that I think that the problem is that we are too much opposed, and we are helpless. We can't find a right solution. We see the disorder, the extreme right imposing itself. The left has no clear answer, and we can't see the way forward, but maybe because we weren't proactive enough. So inaction, we trusted too much on delegating through vote. We, on our political representatives, we trusted the other, our leaders, our political leaders. So there is an urgent need to reclaim our place instead of regretting, we need to, we as journalists need to inform properly and take a step forward, being sensitive enough. So instead of lamenting and regretting, being active. So, well, showing, elevating our voices, putting forward our way of seeing the world, our gaze, the fact that we need to be out of isolation, of fear, detachment, and mass media, social media. Look at what we are doing, building a new world, and everything is linked to what's going on in our societies. This is a pressing need, but of course it will take time. This is a possibility of a better future. So think about the world, be proactive. Think, well, maybe in the audience there are new proposals, suggestions, and solutions to get out of this deadlock and being capable of influencing others. Are there any questions? Of course, we shouldn't live in chaos. Please use the microphone so that we can hear you and interpret you to the different languages. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup pour ces deux interventions. Moi, je voulais
Thank you so much for those two interventions, for your words. I would like to go back to the words of Hannah Arendt in her analysis. I'm going to read it aloud. It's a bit loud, sorry, because I need to find my notes. Sorry, give me a sec. We are together. We are aware of the situation politically. Most of the people. So, of course, we do not obey, not all of us. So this would have happened in many of the cases. So we cannot accept it any longer. This planet needs to be livable now and in the future for future generations. But where are those people that resist, that rebel, that go against, do not bend and lean, that put a hard face against these systems? Well, in Switzerland, we are surrounded by this financial world, by banks and financial entities and stuff. But I think that quotation from Hannah reminds us of neglect, and Jewish people in Europe have been neglected for so long, ignored. Catastrophes start by words, then are followed by deeds, and I don't mean to be trivial here. All that challenge of combating with words, the role played by mass media. They can say the worst, the abject, but thinking about xenophobe, racist opinions can be, legitimate in some cases. So the sense of this quotation you just read is an invitation to reflect. we have a duty to ourselves. Mr. Moratinius meets as a diplomatic practitioner, I mean, in his practice, well, play a role there. Sandra, when organizing these Trobades, does the same. We have the word, I mean, dialogue to face and to challenge those, I mean, powerful. And in these times right now, this can seem a little bit academic, scholarly, but there is a virtue in showing by example the fact of facing, of well, not giving up. This is a vulgar world, an ugly world. Trump is a physical aggressor. I mean, he's against women, he's violent towards women, I mean, he's a violent man in word and deed. So this is part of our ethics and aesthetics. So from my point of view, in France, there is a voice. Well, it's not easy to classify, to label Dominique. It's an unprecedented type of voice because she's, echoing what's going on in the world. So it's a call against madness in the EU. It's a call to action, and it's an old continent. This is the reference that stays in our conscience, and we need to. It's an old country, an old continent full of, full of lesions or of wounded. But we need to raise up, to emerge with words and fight catastrophe. That's what we must do at all cost. We need to play by example, because the rest of the world is not leading by example. I'm not being demagogic. If we look at Spain, comparing it to France, what they are doing, so maybe we are being more active compared to other European countries. But this is, the moment we need to bring hope, because there is no other choice. This is the only thing we can do. This is the only way to support the suffering. This is the role we should play. We have the climate catastrophe that creates. They keep extracting gas, fossil fuels, keeping on this madness. Everything is good. They don't care about anything, but they will crumble, all of them. So we need to resist. We have no choice but to keep on going, to keep fighting. We saw that cartoon. Not everything is dead. Bravo. Congratulations.
Merci à tous les deux.
Thank you so much to both of you. Unfortunately, we cannot give the floor to our audience. We need to keep on going. So in any way, thanks Edwy, Patrick, for allowing us to, open a window to the world, to your world, and to, let us know what you do, the important, the invaluable role you play in your everyday work. Thanks again from the bottom of our hearts.